Hi there, welcome to insidetraxs.co.uk. I'm trying to do this morning some basics. I'm going to do some different videos on the basics of different trading strategies. Today, I'm going to try and tackle scalping. If you are a newbie or even if you're not, I think you should just have a quick look at this because basically there's some stuff that if you're not doing, you should be doing. So let's bash into it and have a quick look at what we are talking about in terms of scalping. What is scalping? Well, the first thing to do in any market when you're going to go scalping, and I know a lot of you won't do this, but maybe a lot of you will, is to look at the market for each of the different horses and to understand which horse is overweighted and which horse is underweighted. That's very important when you're scalping because it'll tell you how quickly, for instance, a horse is going to change the direction of its price. So what you do with overweighting and underweighting, um, basically, you look at the effects of a movement in the price as to which horse will be overweight or underweight. So look, let's have a look at two horses. Now, they are in fact both the same odds, 2.0, because they have equal amounts of money, 100 on horse A and 100 on and 50 on horse B, back and lay. So actually, they're in total harmony and total balance. But what happens if you put £10 to back on horse A? Well, you're adding 10% to the back stakes, and therefore your effect will be 10% on the overall change in the odds. However, if you put £10 to back on horse B, you will actually find that you have a bigger movement in the price, and it will go down to a low level because there's a higher amount of the actual amount already on it, 20%. So it's twice as much money. So even though you could start off with two horses at 2.0, and you'd say, well, surely this is a coin toss. They're both even weights and they're both even money. But it's not the case because horse A is highly overweighted and horse B is highly underweighted. So what you find is this is rather like moving an oil tanker. If you have a big oil tanker and you want to change direction, you need to start moving the dial early, and it will start moving slowly. If you're in a little yacht and you've got a sail up and a wind blows, it will move it offline fairly quickly. So this is the basics of scalping. Remember, if your horse is overweighted, it's going to move less quickly than your horse is underweighted. And that's quite important when you're scalping because actually what can happen is you get a lot of volatility into horse B and not very much volatility in horse A, and that makes a big difference when you're going to do your scalping. So that's the first thing. Be really aware of what's overweighted and what's underweighted, and either choose knowingly to go for an underweighted horse and know there's going to be volatility, and that volatility is going to be bigger. So it may well suit you to go for an underweighted horse, but if you go off track, you will lose your money quite quickly. If it's overweighted, then you see this movement happening slowly, and you can take advantage of that slow movement. And when it starts to go out of control, then you can get out and make very few losses if that's the case. And that is, by the way, one thing that kills us all is getting out of control and making big losses. Price corridors and sport levels, that's what you've got to know about next. What are the price corridors and what are the sport levels? Well, here I've taken a particular example, What Acre Grace, and we see that over the period since it started betting, it has gone from just under 4.5 down to 3.2 or so, 3.1, and then it's literally bobbled in and out, going in slightly and coming out slightly. That is, by the way, the actual off. So the off price was 3.3. So that's where the off was. So well, what did happen in effect was What Acre Grace fell out of the stalls and immediate price drop or price rise. So here are your price corridors here. These are the prices that you are looking at throughout the day, and it's the lowest one here and the highest one there. So basically, you're looking for the corridor in which the price has always somehow stayed. Now you get support levels as well. Support levels are where you see the change in direction. That's the ultimate level that you could have gone to and made money all the way through. That's the price corridor. Support levels are different. Support levels are where the price is dropping. Where does it actually drop to? And once it drops there, that's being supported now. That's someone during this period said, hey, by the way, 3.2 here is too low. I'll start piling some money in. It's not a lot. See, not a lot of money. This is the very start of the day. But clearly 3.2 was too low. And we see that it hasn't really ever gone very much below 3.2 all the way through. So it's been supported there. Then it gets to 4.4 or so. And someone says, no, that's too high. So we see actually a bit of money coming in here, probably about £300-400 comes in here and brings it down from 4.4. So clearly 4.4 is too high a price. And so it comes back down and then it gets down to 3.3 or so. And someone says, no, I'm not happy with 3.3. I think that's too low. And as we move through the day, it kind of comes in slightly. The average, you can see the line of direction is slightly down, but ultimately the support levels are hitting numbers which are showing you that really nothing below 3 was going to go through and nothing above 4.5 was ever going to go through, and probably nothing really much above 4. So here's a perfect scalping diagram, because not only have you got good support levels, you've got a decent corridor, but you've also got, in between all that, quite nice little spikes in between. Can you see? So the spikes in between are where you can make really good little money, and knowing your support levels and knowing your price corridor can mean that you know if it breaks out of that. So for instance, if this chart had gone like that, and then it's gone here and it goes down below 3, you go, whoa, no, we're out of here. We're out of here. Below 3 is not good enough. And you get yourself out of that position. Then it may well find a support level down here and come back up again. And you go, okay, all right. So now let's look for the next one. And you'd see if it went above 4, you're going outside again. So in this strategy, you must know, and by the way, I haven't mentioned this, have I? 3.3 at 63,000. This is how to work out whether it's overweighted or underweighted. Multiply the 63 by 3, 189, plus 0.3, which is about 20. So it's 209. 209 is a lot bigger than 161, yeah? So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that number here, the actual price times the amount on that selection, multiply the two together, and if it becomes higher than the total amount on the total market, then you have an overweighted horse. Now, this could have been, say, 2. It would have been 2, then that would have been 126. And then you said, this is quite an underweighted horse. And you'd have probably seen much more volatility in this chart. Because ultimately, the volatility, the real volatility behind this one is between 3.25 and 3.75. You kept within that corridor, you'd have made money every single scalp. You'd have made money. So, if I could basically say, you understand these two basic rules, and you can't really go very far wrong if you look for charts like this for a favorite. I think this was favorite. Where he's overweighted, and you can actually start making some really nice money. Ways of money, that's the final point. It's not quite as important. It's just a little bit of add-on. We can help you in the moment by moment discussions about when to back and when to lay. But I think really you're quite clear there that when you've got those corridors and those support levels, when the support level goes down and it reaches the bottom, that's when, of course, you're going to lay. And when the price goes up to the top, at the top of the support level or the top of the price corridor, you're going to back. Now, what tells you which direction the price is liable to go in? That's the weight of money. Put a calculator on the home page of the website, which is the weight of money calculator, and you can put this in. It's not a fantastically useful tool because you have to place it into the different parts of the boxes. So you have to put your money. Here's the first three places you put your money. So the best three lay amounts, which is here. Those are the best three lay amounts, and the best three back amounts. Those are the best three back amounts. So it's 904, 841, 116 is the best three back amounts. Those are the best three lay amounts. Put them in here. Calculator then works out the relative benefits of those and gives it out an output, which is the output is the most important thing. Little black box that has been developed, and basically it says to you, because ultimately you have to work out a big figure here on this box here is much more valuable than a big figure here, because that's 2 clicks away. So basically that's taken into account in the black box in here, and ultimately you get. Don't worry about what's in there. You get an output. If it's blue, and if it's between 10 and 25, then actually it's a back. You go on the back bet. That's the way to work it. If it goes into the purple, then the same thing. And the higher the percentage balance, i.e. 25 plus on either side or minus 25, tells you that it's going to move rapidly one way or the other. So you either have to back it because you know it's going to go in, or you have to lay it because you know it's going to go out. Okay? So that's the way the weight of money works. Try it, see how it works. It works best not in the last 10 minutes when there's a lot of changes in prices. It works best in the sort of middle bit, about 25 minutes to 10 minutes before the off. That's when this particular tool works best, and it gives you a very strong indication as to the immediate, where is the next immediate movement going. If it's a very high minus 25 or more, then strongly we're saying lay it because it's going to go out. And if it's 25 plus and blue, then strongly you're going to back it because it's going to go in. Okay, so the final part of this particular tutorial is to look at what is a quick click worth, because that is very, very important to you when you're talking about scalping, because you can actually double how much you get back just by knowing what's going on here and understanding it. So, okay, it's fairly straightforward. Okay, we all know this, but do you know the crossover points? So 2 is a crossover point. 3 is a crossover point. Why? Why is it called a crossover point? Because every tick below 2 is only worth 0.01. As soon as you get to 2, the next tick up from 2 is 2.02, not 2.01. So every tick then becomes 0.02. So when you're past the crossover point, suddenly movement gives you more return, basically more return for each tick. So you move up to 3, and then of course, so if you are backing it at 2.98 to go to 3, that's 1 tick away. You're only making 0.2. But if you're going to go to 3 to 3.05, then you're making 0.05, and so on. So it goes up. The actual sweet spot, really, really sweet spot in this whole thing. Well, firstly, remember the crossover points. If you're backing or laying or scalping at just over the crossover point, then you are making more money than if you're doing all of your trading just under the crossover point. Okay, it's the first thing, remember. So aim at a horse if you can, if you like it, but that's the sweet point at the crossover point. So look for that. The second really good sweet point is actually the 10 to 20. So when you just move over 10, you suddenly go from 0.2 to 0.5, which is 2.5 times the actual amount of return, which is the biggest you get anywhere. Everywhere else, you only double. Okay, so this is 2.5 times the return. So if you're doing trading at 10.5 to 10 or 11 to 10.5, then you are making 0.5 on every single tick that you gain. Whereas if you're doing 9.8 to 9.6, you're taking as much risk in whether the horse goes up or down, but actually you're getting 2.5 times less. And by the way, if you came to cash out at 9.8, 0.2 is not where it's worth very much. At 10.5, 0.5 is worth a hell of a lot more. So again, what you gain is worth more to you than if you're just below the crossover point. This is an important thing to remember, particularly when you're talking about large races. So if you're talking about Cheltenham, where a lot of money is going on to a lot of horses racing in big fields, then you'll find a lot of favourites actually going and being traded around about the 10, 10.5, 11 mark. Now, this is fantastic because ultimately you've got a lot of money, which means there's a lot of liquidity. You've got a lot of horses, which means the prices are going out and the favourite's going to be quite a long price, somewhere around about 10. And you're going to make this 0.5 every time you do a trade. So it's almost the perfect scalping environment. So remember that, because if you only really trade maybe 10 times a year, you know, the Derby and the Grand National and Cheltenham Festival and so on, if you Ascot, if you just stick to those meetings and you stick to large fields and you stick to favourites that sit around, or second favourites that sit around the 10 mark, just over, 11, 10.5, then you, and they're overweighted and they do other things that I've said in this video, they're overweighted and you can see this, the support levels and you can see the price corridor. Yeah, if I gave you that chart that we had earlier on, and that chart was between 10.5 and 11.5, that would be, the holy grail. You could literally print yourself money in that situation with virtually no risk. So that's scalping for you. And if you want to scalp, then look at other videos, because this is only a basic one and there are a lot of other things. You also have the ability potentially to use software. I haven't brought that in here because it's probably too early to start trying to explain software, but software is important in scalping because it can do a lot of extra things for you, like it can trade out from position automatically for you. It can do all sorts of stuff for you. So so there's lots of other stuff to learn, but that's the basics. And if you just want to make some money, then come back and watch the other basics as well, which I'll be doing shortly. I do have the perfect trading academy for beginners. That's free on Insidetraxs. You can go to insidetraxs.co.uk and go to the Academy, Trading Academy tab, and you'll find that there's lots of videos there for free. You can sign up and get the new ones. Subscribe. There's the members newsletter. It's free for 14 days, and then you have to pay, but you have a look at it and see whether it provides you what you want. It provides a lot of candidates for back to lay, for instance, but a lot of other candidates in there with their trading rules and why you should trade them. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, subscribe to the channel and you'll get to all the new videos. If you want to learn more, go to the Trading Academy. And if you are quite experienced and want some well thought through trading tips and a profitable membership newsletter, then go there and try it out 14 days. See if you like it. Cheers then.